On today's video, part 2 of Lost Kingdom 37's Kingland Madness is here. And in this video, we're going to focus a little bit more on feedback, on things that I noticed happening on the field, wrap up the story, and then give you guys a few tips and advice of things that you should know along the way. Like, for example, there are a lot of dead zones where you cannot put flags in Kingsland. That is right. We're going to cover that as well and much more in this video. And of course, lots of awesome footage in the background rolling with crazy wars, and we have some juicy reports along the way too. So sit back, drop a like on the video, set the hat back up. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today we bring part 2 of Lost Kingdom 37's Mad Kingsland, the first ever Kingsland on Light and Darkness. If you haven't seen part 1 of this video, bam, up there on the top right you have a card for that. Go check it out and come back to catch the wrap up of this story. So we are a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms, you guys know this, and if you enjoy the kind of content, make sure you're dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Let me know that you guys enjoy the channel. Hit that subscribe button. A rally like this was the beginning of something nobody predicted. At this point in time, Red Team owned the map. Their folks in purple, who are their ally, locked up the bottom. The folks in baby blue are pushing in from the right, and orange is going nuts with them. Yellow, pink, blue, and green were in very much a pickle, because out of all 4, only pink remained with access to the Kingsland, while the rest were locked up back in their passes. As I mentioned in the previous video, this all happened during Darkness Day, which, by the way, there is a 50% increase on flag burning rate rather than double. So a correction from that video, 50% more, not double. Still a crazy amount, but thank you, Ross, for keeping me honest and letting me know about that mistake. People were actually almost giving up. But then 279 realized that there are individuals like this guy who got a little bit ahead of themselves and wanted to try to help out in the fight in some shape or form, and teleported into wherever was available, which was not their alliance territory. And this individual might be online, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure he disconnected. He might have shielded at the end of this, but massive amounts of cities were found, just like this one, out of position, and this triggered a complete change in the mentality of 279. It started off with them saying, let's just go kill as many troops as we can. And when they realized how successful they are being and how much of a nuisance they're being to 283, they also started rallying flags like crazy. And all of a sudden, you'll see in a moment that there are 3 burning flags, another rally marching its way to another city, another rally on its way up there, and on top of that, this rally finished, plus another one on the way. Listen, at some point, I think I picked up in one of these pieces of footage, like 6 marching rallies going towards different places. This really sparked a complete change in the mentality of 279. One more rally on its way right there. 279 went from being the defeated side that got wrecked along the way to, we're actually able to put quite a lot of damage into them. Look at these kinds of reports, for example, as an example. The folks of 279 realized they can still inflict damage. And so they did, and they started pushing. Now, when they started pushing, it was a bit late. I think it was like an hour or 2 hours before server reset, which is a hugely important point, and you'll know why in a second. Most of you already know it has to do with Light and Darkness buffs, pretty much that. But the thing is, the change was not only in terms of buff. The mentality change happened in 279 a couple of hours before the buff went in effect for them, and they decided they're not giving up. Now, I'm not saying 283 definitely decided they're giving up. I'm saying that what happened here was a combination of a trifecta of very, very interesting things. 279's morale went up dramatically after rallying successfully so many cities. 283, on the other hand, were not really keen on continuing to push. It seemed like they kind of took their foot off the gas thinking they won. And 3, the buff changed. And when the buff changed, it indeed gave 279 that extra boost they needed in game to back up their morale. And I think this can be analyzed from outside. I don't know what happens in 283. I really don't. I haven't been there. I don't know many people there. I know a few people in there, and I know a few people who migrated out instantly after this ended. And the reason all this is happening as an assumption, in my opinion, is that there were already situations of friction and problems within 283. And when a war got them together, when they were victorious, it bonded them together as a crew. But as soon as 273 found a crack and started sneaking their way through, I believe what ended up happening in 283 is that the blame game started, and the, oh, you're not doing good started, and oh, you say I don't do good, then you do it yourself. I'm done fighting with you. I don't like you, blah, 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 blah. And 283 just fell apart. They fell apart in a way that I haven't really seen a kingdom fall apart before. And it's not because of bad players. It's not because of bad leadership. It's not because of toxic people per se. It's because of combinations of all of the above and then more. And so with all that being said, I think that it's fairly clear to you guys what ended up happening, because we did watch it on stream, the difference before and after. But I did go to sleep when the big pushes were happening because it was way too late. And I can tell you, the amounts of madness that this brought up is unbelievable. We caught the moment as night turned day, and from here on out, 279 were in the driver's seat, and they kept their place in the driver's seat till pretty much the end. They double and triple rallied flags like no one's business. Saladin Attila's, freaking Alexander Richards, Alexander Martel's. I saw a little bit of everything. And the defense was bonkers. Counter rallies on counter rallies and debuffer marches all over the place. But the one thing that 279 had, which I see fairly much from JWM side as well, is they had the momentum. They had they had defeated their opposition mentally before they broke them in game. And I don't necessarily think it is only a credit to 279 or to Lightness team in general. For this, I think that the mental, as I mentioned, I think that the mental, we'll call it instability per se, it's not really that, but the friction within 283 was already there from before, and this just exploited that and dragged it to the next level. You can see rallies all over the place. I mean, some of these flags were defended like this one with 1 or 2 marches and that's it. Others got defended for a couple of hours. I believe the one flag extinguished like 3 or 4 times in a row because the rally took so long hitting it that by the time it was over, it could be extinguished, and then it was a back and forth for a couple of hours. Let's talk a little bit about some things that I want you guys to keep in mind when you get into your Light and Darkness, and to help you improve your gameplay and your plan for when Light and Darkness comes. Number 1, remember that to win the game and to win the event, you have to destroy your opposition's buildings. Taking over Kingsland and the Ziggurat is no longer winning KVK. Remember that there are also level 9 passes that will be open later on, which means even though you might not have access to Kingsland, and even though you might have let your enemy get through the first zone to zone 6 and take your circles out, you might still have time to come from behind and attack. So giving up when you lose Kingsland is not necessarily the best approach for you to win the event. There are many ways you can get to the buildings of your opposition later on with passes unsealing, so keep that in mind. The second thing you should keep in mind is that Kingsland is super small. And it sounds like, well, duh, I can see the map. What's your point? My point is that there's not enough space for flags. Flag planning has to be very precise. Doubling and tripling flags to hold onto territory in Kingsland is a very valid situation, and it happens pretty much everywhere. And placing a flag in the wrong place could put you at a situation where your alliance can no longer go anywhere if it's not positioned in a way that it can continue to build flags. For example, the folks of green or orange, I think, I don't remember which ones, don't judge me right there, started their flags a bit too close to their opposition, and by the time they started trying to branch upwards, their opposition had already made a wall of flags in front of them, and it was pretty much over. So you really have to plan your flags better. You actually have to figure out how your plan will work so that you can stay consistent for warring as well as for maintaining territory in case you lose. So you can try to mount a comeback like the folks in pink are doing right now. As you can see, pink were left with very little, very little territory of their own, but they are working their way towards taking red, and spoiler alert, they definitely did. A third tip that I have for you guys is remember that because the zone is small, the distance between you and your enemy, that is a safe enemy, meaning an enemy that cannot be hit by you, is very small. In previous Lost Kingdoms, my farm got rallied by individuals who were in Zone 4 while we were in Zone 5. It took the rally like 30 minutes to march. And my alliance mates caught them on the way there and destroyed them. That no longer is viable in here. If you teleport in King's Land and someone is on the other side of the level 8 pass that is theirs, which means they're safe as all hell, they can send a rally your way with less than 15 minutes of a march time, especially if you're like in red where they started pushing towards pink, which made it even closer. You can see the folks in pink also started helping out blue to just 292 to get rid of 311 who are baby blue. They rallied all over the place, and 311, man, they did so much work. It was actually nuts. They couldn't go up against the folks of 279 because 279 as a whole were much more equipped. But the Pokemons in here really put up work and held 311 very well. And when the time came, they also pushed back really nicely. The final tip I have for you guys is remember the goals. The goals of the game are what really is misplaced. Most people think that kills are the goal of the game, but in Ark of Osiris, kills are pointless, for example. In KVK, kills are perhaps the point of the game, yes, but the point of how you win KVK is by destroying buildings. Remember that, even though you might have lost a strategic positioning, it doesn't mean you can't come back from it. We've seen in the last Lost Kingdom 279 where they went from winning a Zone 5 to getting destroyed in their Zone 5, and now we're seeing 279 from being destroyed in King's Land to destroying back. So don't lose sight of the goal, and if it means you need to set up a strategic retreat, it means that you're now going to triple flag, take a retreat, heal, replan, re-get things done. You have 3 hours worth of time in those triple flags for you to be able to do something perfect, and then get back at it. And I think that that's what 279 did. They straight up retreated, replanned, and then did this rally after rally after rally consistently. The little bit of feedback I have as of right now to Lilith is not pretty. I don't think that Light and Darkness as an event was very successful. I think that it did not address, it tried to address key issues by making too big of a change, which now made the issues less important as the new issues that were created. For example, the main issue that there was on the previous map were the corner maps, and they figured out how to fix it. But the way they fixed it is cool, but they added 1,001 other issues, which truthfully, I'm not entirely sure whether being a corner kingdom is better or worse than being in Light and Darkness. Because yes, you do get 24 days worth of being on the map and doing Lost Kingdom stuff, which is better than being a week and a half and then you're done for 2 months. Sure. But the whole problem was when there's war, it's either one-sided to get against you or one-sided for you. And so it still seems to be the case. It still seems to be that anyone whose day, the side whose day it falls on is the side that has the most success early on. And then if they can hold the next day, they'll pretty much win. And so the issues that people had with the first KVK map were fixed to an extent, but more issues were created where I don't think that Light and Darkness, I think Lilith did too much. I think that in an attempt to fix some very important issues, they remade the game rather than fix the mistakes, and the remake of the game is just as bad. The warring here didn't last more than 2 days, not even that. because the zone is relatively small as well. The fights in ancient ruins and all that were fun and all, but really all they did is cost resources and speed ups, which is Lilith wins out of all this. So maybe that's the only good thing they did for themselves, but not really for us. Having all of the barbarians and all the nodes available everywhere. I mean, level 36 barbarians are available in zone 4 in this map. Makes it essentially that advancing on the map is not that significant. The only significance is you're getting more buildings and more buffs and more rewards. But really, back in the day, if you stayed in zone 4 versus porting forward towards better barbarians, towards better tiles, towards better events, it was worth it. And nowadays you can really sit in zone 4 all KVK long and never get out of it, and there won't be any real advantage of moving forward. As again, when people move forward and empty out zone 4, there's going to be all that you need in there. So why would you go up to compete with anyone? I can just go hunt the level 36s in that zone 4. Yeah, I need to walk a little bit more than being in zone 5, but there are so many people in zone 5 that sometimes you'd have to walk the same amount. So I don't see really an upside. Overall, I think that 279 did an amazing job. I think that the best, most important thing they did is they backed off, they took a breather and came back in. We've seen 279 do that last time, last Lost Kingdom as well. Look at that, 3 rallies, 2 flags, just going nuts. And I think that 283 fell apart not because of 283. I think that all the people in there are potentially great people. I don't know most of them. And I think that the reason folks migrated out was previous situations more than specifically what happened this KVK. But the only real reason I'm very much looking forward for Light and Darkness is because I want the Archer's skin. Other than that, I really don't. And I want to potentially go back to hunt Barbarian Keeps and Forts by myself. Because other than that, I really don't see the fun in Light and Darkness. It lasted for a few hours and that's that. And I think that Lilith needs to go back into the drawing board and figure out what to do. However, the one thing that I think Lilith haven't done enough is actually talk to people about their plans before executing. I think that to an extent, the biggest issue that Lilith Gaming have right now is that their business analysts and the folks who come up with the storylines and events are not connected with what their game is and what their game should be. They're just developing. And so if there's one feedback I'd like Lilith to take out of this video is perhaps it's time you guys give the content creators as well as other individuals in the community that are respectable members of the community that you know of. Whoops, and then the screen went dark. Sorry about that. The people you found to be the ones that are, you know, reputable, respectable in the community, sign an NDA, give us your plans, let us give you feedback, let's build this together, let's help you, let us help you, help us help you, pretty much. That's all I'm asking. Because I can tell you for a fact, if you put a group of 10 counselors out of the community as well as from the content creators team, this would have never happened. Look at Pink. They completely dominate the map. And by the way, the map doesn't look like that no more. Purple are out, green are in, blue are in, baby blue are out, yellow are in, and lightness prevails as of right now in Kingsland. What do you guys think about this whole situation? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. Congrats to 279 for the victory. You guys pretty much went 1v4 and were very successful at it. Major GGs and props to you guys. And yeah, I'm the Gekko. I'm out of here. I'm Gekko, not the Gekko. Wow, I haven't seen that in a while. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Discord. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. All in the description down below. I'll see you sooner rather than later. Take care. Peace.